You there, boy! Come and listen to this. It's time for another week's worth of robots, and this time, well, while it is, a good hearty week's worth, a nice couple of good, lovely things, both came on the same day, which was all a bit of a surprise, and I was slightly overwhelmed by the awesomeness that was within my hands, thanks to the postman. We're going to start with Legends Bumblebee and Blazemaster. Another nice little being the operative word here, 2-pack. I do like these little guys. There's just something really nice about having a small dude and then an even smaller dude to go with him. I don't know. It's a bit like mini-cons, but they're not really, and I like it. It's a nice package, providing you don't spend too much money on them. Because these two come to me courtesy of my friend John, who, well, let me put it this way. Back at the beginning of the year, I noticed that these were reduced in Toys R Us, because a set like this is usually the same price as deluxe, and that's just stupid. But $9.99 felt like more of an amount I could swing, especially when these are like silly money on eBay. Even now, they're just you can't get them for under a tenner. So I said, John, could you go and put me one up, because there's no way I'm going to get to a Toys R Us in time to be able to net one of these little bargains, and I knew that he'd be going to one probably very soon in the near future. And he did. But of course it was a couple of months ago, and he'd just sort of been waiting for an opportune moment to send me this guy. So I don't mind. The opportune moment in question being him sending me a little Lego Abraham Lincoln, because I sent him a double that I had. So he thought, I know, let's throw B in that package. Which then made the package a lot more about this than Lego Abraham Lincoln, but who cares? B here certainly isn't the best of the 4 of these I now have, because I don't have any other ones that are like mini bots like Swerve or whatever yet, but they are on pre-order. Yeah, I like B because he feels like one of those mini bot sort of guys. He feels like he could be in scale if you stand him next to the normal deluxe generations guys, because let's face it, B is meant to be small. I like it when Bumblebee is small, because he is meant to be the tiny little guy, and he just doesn't seem to be that anymore. But yeah, he's not the best. It just feels like he's lacking something. I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Maybe it's paint, because a lot of him is just black and yellow plastic. Maybe it's articulation, because he's a bit limited here and there. I mean, his knees only bend like 45 degrees, but he has got ankles, I suppose, from transformation, and his legs will do that, and his arms will do everything, and I don't know. It just feels like they could have made his head move, or I don't know, just done something to make him move a little bit better than he does. Especially with all the stuff up on his arms that seems to just get in the way of itself. I don't know. But I do like him. I can't really put my finger on why. There's something really nice about him that is some unquantifiable thing. It's just the overall feeling of the figure. Maybe it's the fact that his plastic is slightly metallic, which looks quite nice. I don't really know. But he's just a nice design, I think. This is based on Andrew Griffith's R.I.D. Bumblebee design in the recent comics, which is in turn based on the War for Cybertron Bumblebee, so it's a bit of a sort of watering down of that, I suppose. But it's nice, because you could have him as like a little War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron Bumblebee that's in scale with the deluxe Fall of Cybertron Optimus, maybe? So I like him, and, despite the fact that there is a new movie coming with untold swathes of new Bumblebees, I think this will be my Bumblebee for 2014. His car mode is Ace too. I mean, I don't really know what it's supposed to be. Is it Cybertronian? Is it an Earth mode? Is it a bit of both? Because that seems to be what generations are going for now, some sort of blend of the two. But I really like it. Doesn't really look anything like Bumblebee. It's really flat, really wide. Doesn't really look tall enough to be a proper hatchback car. It looks pretty weird, and you've got this weird stuff sticking out the back. But I think it looks really nice. It's just something that does really feel nice about this little odd-looking car. Yeah, just a fun little dude. And then you get Blazemaster in on the act, who is his... What are these? I still don't know. Are they Micromasters? Are they Target Masters? Are they Minicons? I don't know. His little weapon partner bloke, who is just a blue and gold guy. I mean, I don't really know anything about Blazemaster, apart from the fact that he was a Micromaster, and there was that Revenge of the Fallen one that wasn't very good. This seems to slightly encapsulate both of those somehow. He's tiny, like a Micromaster, but he seems to have some of the Revenge of the Fallen detailing, maybe? I mean, I don't have that figure, but the fact that he's got 3 little toes on each foot make me think of that somehow. Despite his incredibly simple nature, the fact only his arms move and the rest of his body is just a lump, I do really like him. I like his design, I like the detail and the gold, and yeah, there's something about all of these little guys, no matter how ostensibly rubbish they are, that I really like. Unfold him into a tiny blue Nelly chopper, and it is just a bit of a nondescript kind of copter here, but whatever. The real fun is when you take the rotors off and do some wangling. He makes a rather cool little gun, and then the rotors can go on B's arm with some sort of saw blade weapon, or just any other figure with a port on it that you want to give some helicopter blades to. That's just a nice touch. I mean, you can do this. Why wouldn't you want to do that? So I highly recommend being Blazemaster here. If you can get them for a price under what they're supposed to be, then definitely go for it, because it's a really nice fun little set. It's something simple to just muck about with, and yeah, look at this. It's a Bumblebee that's actually worth getting for once. Ooh. Before I finish talking about him though, I do want to point out that once again, we've got this really weird situation with the tolerances on the pegs to do with this set. I mean, the peg that's on Blazemaster, I don't know, it doesn't feel 5mm, but then maybe the holes on B are 5mm, I don't know. The connection between the two is rather loose. If I stand him on there, he'll just sort of wobble around and spin, and I don't know. It's the same if you put the gun in B's hands. His hands feel like they're too big to grip it properly, it will just wobble about. Once again, I don't understand what they're going for with the size of the hands and handles on this size class, because no, it's not 5mm, it's definitely something different. But when you've got a disparity between the size of the post and the size of the port on the figures that are meant to post and port, there's something wrong there, isn't there? All that just smacks of laziness to me, to be honest, and that's something that you can say about all of these Legends figures as far as I know. So, but you two can zoom away over there. It's time to talk about the meat and potatoes of this week. I'm about to show you something which, for a long time, is incredibly hard to get hold of. Went for silly money online. You just couldn't get one unless you'd maybe like pre-ordered it ages ago, or been really lucky, or if you lived in America and found it in a shop. Even then, you had to be really lucky. It's Skids. I have a Skids. Finally, and all it took was me suddenly realising that Forbidden Planet have a website that I can look at on for Transformers, and find that they had a pre-order for it, when of course it was already out, but I'm assuming now that this pre-order has come through, that they'll be stocking it in their stores soon, which is definitely a nice thing, because it means that Skids and his wave will actually hit the UK in some form or another. So if, like me, you were really getting at your wit's end trying to get one of these, then definitely check that site out. I'm not sure if it is still up as a pre-order. The last time I checked, which was a couple of days after this actually came to me, it was still a pre-order on their site. The date that's given is March the 30th as them shipping. This came to me a good week early, so I don't know. Have a look. If this is what you need, then that's what you need to go look at. You can probably already tell what I'm going to say about this figure. It's good. It's very good. I do really like it, because it is such a good rendition of Skids from the comic, from my favourite comic, More Than Meets the Eye, but it's also really faithful to the G11 at the same time. It's a perfect blend, it really is. I mean, on the box, his tech specs are exactly the same as G11, but then you go further and actually look at the thing and compare it to the G11 and think, oh, actually, yeah, he has got these bits that are like that. Oh, those bits are very similar to that. The guns on his arms are very much like the little gun thing that the G11 would have put on. He's got wheels in his shoulders. He's got red toes. All of this. It's very good because it does give you a satisfying update of Skids for your classic shelf if you're so inclined, but it also gives people like me something really nice to put on their Matomti shelf up there. Although, here's where we enter into the first and possibly major gripe, I'll be a bit wary of putting him in the space that I've allotted him up there, because I know that as soon as I even walk past that shelf, he'll probably go flying. Standing this guy up is nigh on impossible. You have to either put him in a really dynamic pose where you've got like his feet bent and stuff, or a really boring pose where he stood stock straight. He just has really crap feet. They're huge, but his heels are virtually non-existent, and when you've got all this guff on your back, You really need that. Oh, that just feels like I should have thought about this a little bit more. Just made some sort of foldy out heel spur or something. The whole air of this figure, while it is really good, it does feel rushed to me at least. Feels like, yeah, they should have done something better with his feet. Maybe they could have made the leg transformation a little bit different so that this tilt here actually goes in the right direction for an ankle and it isn't just a transformation joint. I don't know, maybe they could have condensed some of the stuff on his back a bit, because there is a lot back here, and when you put it all back as it's supposed to be, all folded up, the door wings sort of get in the way of everything as well, because you can't splay them outwards. You have to sort of get the windshield up out of the way, then you can splay them out a bit, and then your shoulders get a bit more movement. And then of course the shoulders, which are a bit crap, but at the same time I don't really see how they could have engineered them differently. You've got to have a wheel in here, you've got to have the slidey down missile spam stuff here, so them not really being able to go out far, I suppose it's just a byproduct of that. It's not really that bothersome. Of course it would have been if he properly could have put his arms out all the way, but I guess I can live with it. You get enough motion, I suppose. But yeah, stuff does start getting in the way when you've got like the front of the car up here. And then you've got his hips, which if you aren't some sort of eagerly-eyed person who pays attention to everything on the internet pertaining to what you've just bought, you might not know that these are put round the wrong way. You have to pop his legs off, then pop the hip off of his thigh, swap them round, put it back together, and his legs move properly and he'll transform properly. That's a bit of an oversight, don't you think, on the assembly quality control side of things? But I suppose it is sort of easily overlooked because both sides of his hips have the same detailing. It's only when you go to move them that you'll realise that either it doesn't move upwards or it does. It's meant to go that far, not like that far, because that's how it would be if you got it straight out of the box. And I mean, yeah, it's a pretty simple fix. All you've got to do is pop bits off, but I have to say I've never had to unpop these like mushroom peg connections before, and that's pretty tough. I had to get like part of a multi-tool in there to poke those bits out, and it did take quite a bit of strength putting it back together. So yeah, it's not difficult to fix, but at the same time it doesn't feel easy. So I don't know, I guess you just got to be careful, because I have heard that you could break the actual stalks that the balls of his hips sit on. So I guess that's going to be something that we're going to have to look out for to see if they fixed when the repainter's crosscut comes out. But there we go, I think that's pretty much everything that's bad about Skids. Everything else is just good, good, good. I love the way that he's got all the hidden weapons, every single thing. Maybe not every single thing, because at some points it looks like he's got like 5 guns coming out of his arm. But every single thing that pops out of him in the comics is here. He's got the ones over his shoulders, which are spring-loaded. There's a nice little bit of a gimmick there. And then the ones on his wrists are sort of geared, so they come out with a bit of automorph as well. And all the missiles and all the guns, oh, it's great. The fact that they've been able to be even more faithful to how he is in the comics through some gimmicks, oh, that just feels good. It just feels like you're getting a little bit more value for money, and that does make Skids feel like one of the best Generations figures, just because he's got all this stuff built in that just adds a bit of extra value. But of course at the same time you've got all the weird gripes that sort of put him down a peg, and I really don't know quite what I think about this guy yet. I do really, really like him. All the detailing, I mean the head sculpt, oh, it's Alex Milne in 3D, but I don't know. There's some things that make me think, oh, he's sort of average, he's not quite as good as some of the others because of the hindrances on him. And then there's other things, like all the guns and the detail, that make me think, oh, it's so good, it's just like the best. Of course, I'm fueled by the fact that I love More Than Meets the Eye so much. In particular, I think my favourite issue has to be the first one where you see Skids, number 2. I think they really could have got away with packaging that with this figure. I know all the ones that they've packaged with the figures are to do with Dark Cybertron, but if you wanted a Spotlight Skids issue, it's number 2 of More Than Meets the Eye, and that could have so gone well with this figure, because it's like this has leapt off the page of that comic. I love it. I have to say though, I am waiting to see what a Takara one might look like, because there isn't one as of yet, but I'm pretty sure that they will give him all the paint he's supposed to have. I saw someone write somewhere that this is a Takara level paint job, and I'm like, no, you need your eyes tested. There is still a lot of paint missing here that sort of should be here. I mean, I guess if you're going by the G1 standard, he shouldn't have the glowing red stripes on his chest. But I really want them to be there, and I'm starting to think maybe I'll buy the repro labels for it. And then you've got bits like the lines on his knees and the lines on the door wings, and there are bits of detail that really need to be picked out with that sort of glowing red pattern, and I'm sort of hoping that maybe Takara will do that. I just want to see what it will look like properly, professionally, straight out of the box, painted like that. Not with repro labels, not as a custom. I just want to see them do that, because I think it will just bring out every little thing that is in this sculpt and make it be an 11 out of 10. Because it's all here, really. I mean, yeah, he's got this weird car back end stuff hanging off his legs, but all the detail that you see in the comics is here. Even stuff like up in the side of his torso here, that is comic accurate. It's crazy, I love it. Get yourself a Skids if you don't already, and if you need any more convincing, you can put his guns together to make a big gun that just looks like the best gun in ages. Oh, I haven't spoken about him as a car. He's a blue hatchbacky thing. To be perfectly honest, it feels a lot like this Bumblebee's alt mode, just bigger. It's sort of trying to be a hatchback, but it's too low, too wide, and just too flat. It's not tall enough. It doesn't seem right. It's like they've taken a proper hatchback car, like Prime Rumble, it's a bit similar, but just squished it, and it looks weird. But it's still a nice car, and it's still a sort of good size, I guess. G1 Skids was always like the smallest of the Autobot cars, so I guess it's fine that he's smaller than most of the others. Oh, I don't know why I'm even saying all this. I think it's pretty clear that quite a long time ago you would have made your mind up whether you wanted this Skids or not. I think most people would have said yes, even though it is a bit of a limited, quite annoying at times figure. But there you go, that's the state of play these days, I guess. You win some, you lose some. But I have to say with this guy, he does seem more like a winner than a loser. And that's your crazy robot action for this week, people! I am sort of still hoping to do a build video. I've still got one plan, I've still got a box of bits to build in front of you, and it will be Transformers themed. So hopefully that might be next week's thing. I don't know. I only didn't do it this week because these two showed up at my door and it was like, well, that's my robots for this week, that can wait. So maybe you can look forward to that, because I honestly don't know what else video-wise I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future. I'll be back.